Oh, where do I start? I have had the most disastrous week. Like, the most. Like, I can't even. Like, if there was ever a time to not be able to even, it would be now. I can't even. Ugh, okay, so this happened about a week ago, I'd say now. Okay, where do I start? Okay, so I was getting ready to feed all my Bettas, and I had all their food defrosting in their little cup with the tweezers, like I always do. I came over to the tank, and I found what looked like a topaz, dead, in those plants, right there. Laying inside the plants, just kind of like by the rocks right here, just kind of barely under. And she was kind of face down, and the swordtails were trying to eat her. Okay, so my tank is overcrowded. It's overstocked with a million swordtails because they keep reproducing. I'm going to be going down to my local fish store, Creatures. It's not really that local. It's actually an hour drive away from me, but it's the only like real local fish store that isn't a chain fish store that's anywhere near me. And well, actually that's not true. We have World Exotic Pets, and it's a nice little store, but it's like really small. So I like going to Creatures. They have a much bigger variety. So yeah, I'm going to be going to Creatures, and the guy that worked there, I said, do you guys want to buy some of the swordtails from me? I'll take pretty much any price, I just need to get rid of them because they're causing problems, and I can't move them to another tank right now, which is another part of my story. I bought a $200 big rack, and it has 5 shelves. Like, you can adjust the shelves and stuff. I mean, anyone who has a fish rack knows how to adjust the shelves or whatever. So it says it can hold up to 1,000 pounds of weight. And if you divide that by the 5 shelves, that's like each shelf should be able to hold roughly 200 pounds. It never says anywhere how much each shelf can hold, so it just makes you guess. And I have 10 gallons of water sitting on that right now with 2 of the boards together, which should technically make it stronger. And it's bowing. Not a lot, but it's visibly bowing. I took one of the bars and I laid it across, and the middle was dipping. So I could not set up my tanks. Unfortunately, I still haven't done it. I really wanted to do it. I couldn't do it. So I wasn't able to take all my swordtails out. Well, I was going to leave most of them in. I was going to take my 2 good, pretty breeder ones here. They haven't bred at all yet, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe they're like not fertile or something, because I've seen no breeding activity from either of them, but all of my other ones have been showing all the proper breeding activity you normally would see. So they've all been in here, and I guess increased aggression increases stress. And while everybody was doing fine, Topaz was essentially being eaten alive while she was sleeping in the plants. I thought she was dead, but she wasn't. She didn't have any, like, severe damage. She just had some ripped up fins. They weren't even that bad. Obviously, she was just really stressed. And in hindsight, I should have taken her completely out because I don't have another tank set up. I don't have another tank cycled. I guess I could have taken the media out of this tank and used that. That would have been a good idea, but I didn't have anywhere to put the tank either because nothing can hold water that I have. I have, like, no furniture. So I took a big net, like a big net, and I put her in the tank, and I, like, had it floating. So she was up at the surface. I had some plants in there for her so she could hide if she felt like she needed to hide. None of the fish could get at her. She was doing better. She was eating, and then 2 days later, she suddenly died. Out of nowhere. Like, obviously there was the stress, but I don't know. Like, she was fine. I do regular water changes, and because I have so many fish, I always do big water changes on this tank. Normally I wouldn't do huge water changes. I only do that because there's so many fish. But I've got good bacteria in here. The tank is cycled. The levels are all fine as long as I keep doing the regular water changes. There's no ammonia spikes or anything. As you see, you saw that swordtail there being a dink. Ugh. Okay, so anyway. So that was one problem. Another problem. And when I found Topaz, I was draining my tank. I was doing a water change on this tank when I found her. The water was draining. I have a big tub right here. It's actually got water in it right now because I just did a water change earlier. I gotta go dump it. I had the water draining, and while it was draining, I was gonna go feed all my other fish. The food was defrosting, and these guys, I was gonna wait till the water was done to actually feed them, but it was the feeding time. So when I was feeding, I had all the jars on the table, and I noticed Smokey wasn't in his jar. And I immediately panicked. I looked around, I looked under the table, and he was on the floor. Thought he was dead. He wasn't dead. He was still alive. I have had a Betta. He was one of the first that I got after I moved back home from living with my ex out in Edmonton. I'm from BC. I'm not from Edmonton. And his name was Morganite. Back then, I was dumb and thought that they were okay to live in like 1 gallon bowls. I mean, that's better than what some people put them in, but it's still not great. And he jumped out. And back then, I had pet mice. And I let them run around on the table, and they had chewed up some of their pellet food and left a little pile of pellet dust on the table beside the bowl. Morganite jumped out of his bowl while I was in bed. I was going to sleep. I heard a sploosh, but I didn't really realize what it was. And so I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning, 9 hours later, and he was sticky, and he was laying in the bowl, or not the bowl, laying beside the bowl in the pile of fish food. Oh my god. Oh, I'm so flustered right now. Oh, someone help me. In the pile of mouse food. He lived. I put him in a cup, and he softened all that fish, there we go, trying to say fish food again. He softened up all the mouse food. It all fell off of him, and he lived, and he survived, and I had him for almost another year, and everything was fine. The Smokey was out for like half an hour max. He was a little sticky, but he was still kind of wet. He was still active. He was laying down a lot. I put him in a shallow thing of water, so like any dog hair or whatever would come off of him before I tried putting him back into his bowl. And it looked like he was gonna make it. He started to get better. Like he was moving a little more and a little more. I went to have a shower, and I came back, and he was gone. So, and while I was dealing with all that of finding Smokey, obviously this was before my shower, but before he died, I forgot I was draining this tank, and I filled my bucket so full. Like, if you could tell, I know it's dark, like there's like the little handle thing on the inside, and there's a hole there. I filled it like to here, full of water, and I almost spilled it all over my kitchen floor. And everything, I was just so flustered and so panicked and so stressed. All of that happened all at once, and I'm so mad at myself for not finding a way to set up that rack sooner. I really wanted to get Smokey and all my other boys out of their 1 gallon jars. I wanted to take their lids for those jars to my stepdad so he could drill holes in them for me. But of course we had snow. We got a bunch of snow for the first time in years, and I haven't stepped foot out of my house in literally the week that we've had the snow. I have not stepped foot out my door once. I open the door to let my dog out, and I bring her back in, and that's all I've done. The roads were so bad. We got well over a foot of snow for multiple days. I wasn't able to get into town to get the metal shelves to put on my rack so I could finally set it up. So I couldn't set up the tanks, so I couldn't put Smokey in anywhere, and it's my fault. I know it's my fault. I really should not be having them in jars that don't have proper lids on them. that's never a good idea. But unfortunately, at the time, there was nothing I could do. I don't personally drive. My boyfriend is the one who drives me around, and he could barely get to my house, never mind driving the opposite direction to the next town over to try and get metal racks. He works over in that town, and he wasn't even able to get to work. He works the night shift, and he wasn't able to get to work because it kept snowing, and his car is really low to the ground, and it's really hard for him to drive through snow. So, found Topaz, saved her, found Smokey, tried to save him, nearly spilled water all over my floor, had a shower, Smokey died. All my fish have been fine besides that. I haven't had any other problems besides my swordtails being jerks and scaring everybody and beating up my guppies. Beating up my guppies and beating up poor Obsidian. They always target her for some reason. I don't know why. Like, does she look more like another swordtail compared to my other Bettas? I don't know. But Sapphire's fine. Silver's fine. I got Rosie, Rose Quartz, she's fine. Pearl's fine. She still hasn't marbled back to cellophane. Topaz is gone. Now, little baby's here somewhere. I saw her earlier because I was just feeding them. I think she went to sleep in there. She likes to sleep in there. Sometimes I tap on the glass when they're in there and they come out looking for food. Like, they know that means it's food time. I just do a couple little quick taps on the side of the glass by the entrance there. Or, I guess the entrance is back there. There's a hole in that. They can go inside of it. It's their little hidey place. My Corey's like to sleep in there too. And Silver likes to sleep in that log. When it's feeding time, she comes out, usually out the top, because she's adorable. But yeah, so disaster week has struck. Snow could not have come at the worst time. I wanted snow so bad, and it has done nothing but cause problems. Nothing but cause problems. It's so annoying. Like, I normally love snow. I love snow. I'm such a kid at heart. I really am a kid at heart. But this time, it's been nothing but problems for me. Like, I haven't even gone outside to enjoy the snow at all, and now it's like starting to rain and get all like icy and crunchy, and it's no fun like that. So I guess that wraps it up for my fish room disaster video. I hope you guys are all having a better week than I am, because honestly, it's been really rough. Like, it has been rough. Just, I don't even, when it's this many things that happen all at once, it's hard, especially when you love your fish all so much. Like, I'm not like some big fancy breeder who has all these beautiful fish, and I don't get attached to them because I have so many fish. Like, I love all my fish. I really do. I even love my swordtails even though they're jerks. Like, this guy's trying to breed with her and she's just like, leave me alone. The only swordtails that aren't jerks are like her and the partner I bought for her to breed. That's the first breeding behavior I have seen him do at all. I thought he was sterile or something. I guess maybe he just doesn't try because the other ones are dominant over him because he's the smallest of my males. I don't know, but she's still not pregnant. I've had her for a couple months and she's not pregnant yet. So maybe she's sterile. I've never seen any of the males try to breed with her either though. So I'm hoping that that isn't the case, because once I do get my rack set up, I want to take her and her breeding partner, this guy here, and try to get some pretty babies out of them. Maybe when I go back to creatures, they'll have some more nice ones like this. Preferably one that has more white. one that's like not like the male. I still like how they're orange, white, and have black spots, but maybe something that's a little bit different from the two. But I'm gonna get them in a 10-gallon and try to get them having babies, because they are seriously the prettiest swordtails I have ever seen. If anything happens to them before I get to breed them, I'll be devastated. I'm already really upset about Smokey and Topaz. They are my special babies. I still want to do a breeding project with this albino girl too. I still have all those other guppies in that 5-gallon, or 5.5 gallon. I want to try and find the prettiest male with the biggest blue tail and try to breed back and hope that they both carry enough of the albino gene to maybe get some albino babies, because she's gorgeous. And for a female, she's got quite the tail on her. She's a pretty girl. And she actually had babies recently in this tank, and I don't think any are left. By the time I noticed, there was one. Like, that's probably one of hers, but it's an older one. My guppy is trying to breed with my swordtail. What are you doing? It's not a molly. It's a swordtail. You can't breed with there. That don't work. It's not... It's not gonna work. No wonder you're getting beaten up so much. Leave him alone. You little jerk. But yeah, all the prettiest fish that you see in here, they're from Creatures. The rest are from PetSmart. All the unique looking ones. Well, actually that's not true. This is one of the girls I bred myself. Under certain lighting, she's got really reflective fins. She's not like super fancy or anything, but considering she came from PetSmart fish, like, he's from PetSmart. She's one I bred myself. That guy's from Creatures. He's from Creatures. This guy here, that guppy, he's from Creatures. That lighting's not the best, but they are really pretty. If you get to see them under the right light. They have the super metallic-y looking fins. Pretty much all the really generic looking ones that you see are the ones that I got from PetSmart. I do have a pretty female in here too. She was really thin, but she had babies recently too, and they all got eaten as well. I just got one female from Creatures, but I don't see her. I saw her a minute ago. Where did you go? Where have you gone? Pretty lady. Oh, there she is. She's down there. Focus. And of course this lighting sucks, so you can't really see her fins that well. And she's really bluey and rainbowy. And then I got my two pretty swordtails from Creatures. All these ones, all these females with the yellowy fins, I bred those ones. I mean, breeding guppies is not hard. All they do is breed. They're like the rabbits of the fish world. Or mice. Have you ever had mice? Mice breed like crazy. They probably breed worse than rabbits do. Oh. Yeah, okay, so I guess I should just end this now. It's been 18.5 minutes of me rambling on about tragic fish deaths and violence and gore and every other awful fish tank thing there is that doesn't involve piranhas. That kind of makes me happy to see his breeding behavior, because this is literally the first time I've seen it, and I come out here and I sit and watch this tank all the time. And I've yet to see it until now. A little baby swordtail. It's one of those little neon greens. All by his lonesome. Oh, there's a big brother or a big sister. I'll go hang out with you. I kind of want to keep that one. A black-tailed one. That's one of her babies. I had a few more of them, but they got eaten. There was one that was really cool. It looked kind of like this one, but the cellophane part of its caudal fin was right in the middle, and it looked like a double tail. It wasn't, but it looked like one and it looked really cool, but he got eaten. Sadly, because I don't have another tank to put these guys in. But yeah, so that's that, and I guess I won't be breeding Rosie anytime soon. She was going to be my next breeder, but now that I don't have Smokey anymore, I don't have a dragon to breed her with. And so it's like, it's not even just a loss of like a loved pet. It's the loss of like a breeder that like I was really looking forward to breeding because he was so special looking. Like he had both black and red in his fins. He had pretty decent form. He had a copper base, like a silvery copper base, but his pattern was kind of Armageddon, or sorry, not Armageddon, samurai. Wow, my fish terms are all over the place today. But yeah, he had more of a samurai pattern when he was younger, and he kind of grew out of it a little bit, but he still, like, his bottom half still wasn't fully covered in the dragon scales. It was dark, like the underlayer, if that's even how you describe it. So I'm trying to find a new breeder for her. Most of them are probably just going to be pet quality fish, as expected. I mean, Smoky Quartz was from PetSmart, and he was actually labeled as a female, so I got him for $5. And I hear that samurai dragons sell for a lot, so trying to find one specifically is gonna be expensive, and I'm probably not gonna bother. I'm probably just gonna keep looking until I happen to find something I like. Creatures imports their Bettas from Indonesia, so they might be able to get something good for me for a decent price without me having to actually transship, because I don't want to do that. My first experience was awful, and you know what? I should make a video about that someday because it was horrible. My first ever transshipping experience was absolutely horrible, but I'll leave that for another video. So you guys have a wonderful day or night or morning or afternoon or whatever time it is that you're watching this, if you even manage to watch it this far. And if you do, I applaud you because this is a long AF video. It's so raw, it's not edited because I'm tired and my programs keep crashing on me. And this wasn't made with the intentions of editing. I apologize, I really should do that. And yeah, so see you later.